This is Hallicrafters Rehabs. Welcome back. So, lots of leads coming in here, so we're going to go ahead and connect up the notch filter box and the mixer box and get some of this excess wiring out of here before we go in and do the further refurbishment. But to do that and to do it neatly, we're going to this tube is the input, or it takes the output of the filter box. So we'll go ahead and work on this tube, which will lead to this input from the box, and then that will lead to this input to the box and the other connections from there. So, and then we'll go to the mixer box. And we'll do that off camera. Okay, so I've got it partially in here. The 100 ohm resistor was way out. It was 1100. I thought maybe it might be a an inappropriate or substitution or something like that, but then another look at it, it is 100 ohms. The 1 meg was out too, so I've got the output of the filter box tied in now with the 1 meg ohm drop, and then these have now been oriented in the right direction. They were mostly wrong. This lead will go to the selectivity switch, which I've actually removed the wire from there, and we'll just leave that unconnected until then. This is now oriented properly, goes to ground, and these others go to ground with the foil side on the ground. This one is a 470. It measured high and it is leaking, so I'm going to replace it with another mica. And foil side is on the high impedance, and that will be on this side, the incoming from the filter box, I mean the mixer box. So that's where I'm at right now. We'll finish this up, get this wired into B plus and this into the filament lead, and then we'll move on to the mixer box. I've installed this terminal strip. It will be a strip for the the green and yellow lead and the black and white lead, and that will facilitate removing the box whenever it's necessary. This will go, these two will go to the selectivity switch, and these two will go to the power switch. So that's where it's at. Okay, done, I think. I've got these just tacked into the terminal strip. They'll be tied in for sure to the power switch and the selectivity switch later. This is all in place. These are all in place. The heater circuit is in place and returned. No, I always have a test connection there for doing alignments, so that's what that's all about. And these wirings were pretty straightforward. So blue is right here, red's right there, that's the B plus, yellow, that's not tacked in, and green, black, and white. And this is the new capacitor. It's in place. This is phono for later. Okie doke. That will do it for today. Okay, so it's been a couple days or two and I've been working on this, and I had it propped up on top of a platform so to position it closer to the camera tripod, and it just doesn't work. My back just was, I was standing on my back for the entire time and just got my back all sore standing all these hours and hours. So I don't know if you can tell or not from previous where I worked and where I haven't. But basically, after I connected the mixer box and the filter box in, I just worked this tube and have been working back in this direction. And just to, first of all, checking capacitors and resistors and everything. Most of the resistors were either out of spec or at the top end of their tolerance, which means they're going the wrong way. So while I'm there, and I am there, I've been replacing pretty much all the resistors except maybe one 2.2 meg that's on the RF. Actually, it's the first IF mixer tube. So, and I didn't like the way this terminal strip was, so I put another one in, and it is going to be, it's not neatened up because it isn't connected to the power switch or the selectivity switch yet, but this will be a much better configuration than what I had before. Been a lot of, 3 years is more experience than I had when I did the first servicing of this thing. And I knew nothing. I knew what a capacitor was and a resistor was from my double E course at Nuke Engine School, but didn't know anything about foil positions or everything. So I recapping because it wasn't working. Okay, and so when recapping, there would be this bumblebee, some people call him Black Beauty, between this pin and one of the terminal strips over here, and I'd look at the capacitor rating and I would replace it with what I got from a kit. So if that's where it was connected from here to here, I would connect it from there to there without any thought or understanding of what the capacitor was doing or why, or just replace the capacitor, which is fine. That will improve the radio. It will probably make it working instead of stop working. However, since I'm here, they're a lot better. The size of the capacitors are like, 10% of what the molded plastic paper capacitors that they replace. So this is I've got lots of, you remember the triangle, speed, quality, and cost. Well, speed I don't need. I got all the time I want to take, except that I can't stand up. I've got to sit down. I've learned that lesson. But, so why not take the time? And so these capacitors are close to the chassis, like a ground plane. The length of when there's a length of lead, it's on the ground side of the capacitor, and I'll even extend a component. I have to anyway, in order to make it an easy run, or the capacitor to, if it's a long ground lead, it's okay. It doesn't. This is all ground here, so not an issue. And particularly with capacitors. So that's what I've spent a lot of time. This was bent up to change that terminal strip. I've spent a lot of time positioning and and carefully laying out how I want to have the capacitor laid in here, or the resistor or whatever, and then building it up. So I sacrificed a little bit in terms of maintainability. It'll take more time. You may have to remove, especially around this RF mixer, actually first IF mixer tube, you may have to remove a component or two to get to what you're looking at. On the other hand, on the switch, you can get to the areas and do the cleaning that you need to do, which is because the length of wire in this is not enough, except maybe on this coil right here. You'll impact the dial calibration a little bit by having a little more length to the wires. Now, this part I haven't done yet. There's this replacement capacitor that was put in, not by me, it's the previous owner. This has to be straightened out, and we're going to straighten this out, clean this up a little bit, just like we did the Mark I, to get to the wafers and do a good cleaning job. There was some kind of black gum on the switch metal contact parts, and that took some time to clean that off and get it suitable for long term, not needing a cleaning. So also these screws are rusted, so we'll be taking those out and cleaning those as well. So that's where I'm at, and we'll just I'll do a little bit more this afternoon, and I think that'll be it this video, but I'll probably need to start working on this right next. So that's where I'm at. Just take your time, and you got time to make it a good solder connection, nice and silvery, no cold. One thing I do is I'll bring all the leads in from one direction through these terminal strips. That can actually be trimmed off a little bit, and then solder it, and it's actually more stable, and you're less likely to have a cold solder joint. So rather than have it, sandwiched or wrapped or anything like that. In fact, I don't wrap it. I'll just stick them straight through, get a nice, good solder connection, and then trim it. So that's what's going on. We keep at it. So this is what you call a wrap for the day. I did get through the oscillator section, just rerouting wires to give me a little better, that's not that great, but give me a little better clearance for cleaning the switch surfaces, the metal surfaces there. Probably should be done about every 5 years or so. I did get all that black gum off, or most of it. And I got rid of this mess. This was underneath this piece here. Basically was a 5.5 picofarad to 5.5 picofarad to 5.5 picofarad. So it wasn't very useful. And this had been put in as a replacement. It should have been removed and put in there, but that's been done now. And so everything's kind of, so we have this tube, and then we can come around, we'll do this. It looks like we're going in this direction instead of that direction, instead of the other direction I had planned to do. But we have this tube and some work to do in here, and we'll start reconnecting things and disconnecting things over on that side. So that's a wrap for today, and there's a race on tomorrow, so I'll probably do some cleaning. It needs a little bit more cleaning. I can do that while watching the race, and that will be a wrap for this weekend. Happy Sunday tomorrow. So I've been watching the race, and sitting and cleaning mainly in the areas where I've worked, and I cleaned some more and polished more on the other side as well. So where we are, this area is done, that's done, and back in here. So we'll go start with this sensitivity control, which is right out of the camera shot, right there, and then progress along here until we're finished next weekend. And so I'll wrap this video now. This is Hallicrafters Rehabs. Thanks so much for watching.